Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Let me start by saying that the men and women of America's intelligence agencies are overwhelmingly dedicated professionals, and they deserve to have leadership that is trusted by the American people. Unfortunately, that trust has been seriously undermined by senior officials' reckless reliance on secret interpretations of the law and battered by years of misleading and deceptive statements that senior officials made to the American people. These statements did not protect sources and methods that were useful in fighting terror. Instead, they hid bad policy choices and violations of the liberties of the American people. For example, the director of the NSA said publicly that the NSA doesn't hold data on U.S. citizens. That was obviously untrue. Justice Department officials testified that Section 215 of the Patriot Act is analogous to grand jury subpoena authority, and that deceptive statement was made on multiple occasions. Officials also suggested that the NSA doesn't have the authority to read Americans' emails without a warrant. But the FISA court opinions declassified last August showed that wasn't true either. So for purposes of trying to move this dialogue along, because I don't think this culture of misinformation is going to be easily fixed, I'd like to get into several other areas where the government's interpretation of the law is still unclear. Director Clapper, law-abiding Americans want to protect the privacy of their communications, and I see a clear need to strengthen protections for information sent over the web or stored in the cloud. Declassified court documents show that in 2011, the NSA sought and obtained the authority to go through communications collected with respect to Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence and Surveillance Act and conduct warrantless searches for the communications of specific Americans. Can you tell us today whether any searches have ever been conducted?
Senator Wyden, I think at a threat hearing, I would prefer not to discuss this and have this as a separate subject because there are very complex legal issues here that I just don't think this is the appropriate time to discuss them.
When would that time be? I tried with written questions, Director Clapper, a year ago to get answers, and we were stonewalled on that, and this committee can't do oversight if we can't get direct answers. So when will you give the American people an unclassified answer to that question that relates directly to their privacy?
As soon as we can, as soon, sir. I'll commit
What
to
would
that.
be wrong with 30 days?
That's fine.
All right, thank you. That's making some progress. Director Brennan, a question with respect to policy. Does the Federal Computer Fraud and Abuse Act apply to the CIA? Seems to me that's a yes or no question.
I would have to look into what that act actually calls for and its applicability to CIA's authorities, and I'll be happy to get back to you, Senator, on that.
How long would that take?
I'll be happy to get it back to you as soon as possible, but certainly no longer than...
A week?
I think that I could get that back to you, yes.
Very good. Let me ask a question of you then, if I might, Director Comey. I'd like to ask you about the government's authority to track individuals using things like cell site location information and smartphone applications. Last fall, the NSA director testified that we, the NSA, identify a number, we can give that to the FBI. When they get their probable cause, then they can get the locational information they need. I've been asking the NSA to publicly clarify these remarks, but it hasn't happened yet. So, is the FBI required to have probable cause in order to acquire Americans' cell site location information for intelligence purposes?
I don't believe so, Senator. In almost all circumstances, we have to obtain a court order, but the showing is a reasonable basis to believe it's relevant to the investigation.
So you don't have to show probable cause. You have cited another standard. Is that standard different if the government is collecting the location information from a smartphone app rather than a cell phone tower?
I don't think I know. I probably ought to ask someone who's a little smarter on what the standard is that governs those. I don't know the answer sitting here.
My time is up. Can I have an answer to that within a week?
You sure can.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.